It's a new year, so I want to start this video off on a positive note. You will never be rich.
That was a video by the finance channel How Money Works. In one of his recent uploads, he argues that you and your loved ones will never get rich. It's a pretty bold and depressing message, but is he right? In this video, I will go through each of his arguments, examine their validity with evidence, and determine if his claims are sobering truths or false alarms. Starting off with his central point.
The inconvenient truth is that if you want to get rich, you need a high income. Why don't you hear this more often? Because it doesn't sell well. A personal finance channel here on YouTube would immediately lose 90% of their audience if they said that this only works if you are making six figures.
A six-figure income is out of reach for many people, but we can test his claim with basic mathematics. The average household income in 2020 was $67,521. Assuming 10% of each paycheck is saved and invested into the S&P 500 for an annual return of 8.2% over a 40-year career, the household would retire with $2 million. This example is also a bit conservative given the historical return of the S&P 500 is actually 9.8%, which would grow the portfolio to $3.1 million instead. Thankfully, a six-figure income is not required to achieve millionaire status, but this also leads into his second point: how to define being rich. In his video, he argues that being a millionaire just isn't what it used to be, and while $1 million might have been great a decade ago, today it just doesn't qualify you as being wealthy. He goes on to cite the famous 4% rule and calculates that with a portfolio of $1 million, the owner can only withdraw $40,000 per year without shrinking the nest egg. However,
if my math is right, and it always is,
then a thrifty and patient household could realistically retire with $2 million or more. Using the same 4%, that equates to an annual income of $80,000 or more. I can't speak for everyone, but that definitely disqualifies you from being poor. The last point I want to touch on is the most interesting claim in his video, that people who became millionaires did so by being lucky enough to have caught a decades-long bull market. And those who experienced the bear markets of 1935 and 1982 would be a lot poorer.
The millionaires that got there through thrift, as opposed to high incomes, were heavily assisted by markets that had been favorable to them for 2 decades prior. Had the survey been conducted at the end of prolonged downturns like 1935 or 1982, it is unlikely that the thrifty millionaires would be as well represented.
My intuition told me that he was right, which would mean that the wealth really might be more subject to fate rather than perseverance. To test his claims, I went and downloaded 95 years of the S&P 500's performance data and set up 3 scenarios using the same 10% savings rule from earlier, investing across 3 40-year periods. The trick, however, is that these scenarios will have their starting date set as 1928, 1943, and 1969 respectively, in order to generate 3 portfolios during the 3 worst periods in stock market history. We will call these the Great Depression portfolio, the High Inflation portfolio, and the Financial Crises portfolio. One thing is for sure, Lady Luck is certainly not smiling upon our poor savers now. So how did they do? In third place is our High Inflation portfolio, ending with a respectable $1.18 million. In second place is the Great Depression portfolio with $1.47 million. And in first place is the Financial Crises portfolio, with a whopping $2.12 million. It seems like despite facing the worst luck imaginable, our 3 portfolios indeed still ended up with millionaire status. In all fairness, How Money Works video also contained a lot of great points. He was right to call out the authors of The Millionaire Next Door for falling prey to selection bias. And he was also accurate in pointing out that different cities demand different costs of living, which can significantly impact the amount of money needed to be rich. However, his central claim that
the dream that anybody can become rich through thrift is just that, a dream,
is a false one. disprovable through empirical data. I'm not sure why such a high-quality channel produced such a misinformed video. As a fellow finance professional, I've always respected his content and insights. Perhaps he was hoping to generate views by being a bit controversial, or this might have been a genuine mistake. However, I worry that even if 1% of his massive audience gets discouraged enough to abandon the tried-and-true path of long-term saving and investing, that could lead to rather bad outcomes for hundreds of people. So, does thrifty saving and patient investing guarantee you millions? No, as any good financial professional will tell you, nothing is guaranteed. However, the good news is that with a lot of perseverance and a bit of luck, it is also not that far beyond your reach.